You know, in this day and age, it's hard to avoid stress. We are exposed to all kinds of stress, from stress on our personal lives, stress about the news, stress about who knows what. It's constant stress. Stress can take a toll on the body. A lot of diseases are stress related. The effects of stress, however, are often misinterpreted. I'm going to have an article on this in my Applied Metabolics newsletter about the true effects of stress on health and what to do about them. But right now, I wanted to discuss a couple of the top nutrients and nutritional supplements that you can take that'll help you modify the effects of stress on your body. Some of these things are what they call adaptogenic herbs. What they do is they modify the output of stress hormones when you're exposed to stress. An uncontrolled or, let's say, extensive release of these stress hormones can cause body breakdown eventually, can cause the body to break down. Your body tries to adapt to stress up to a certain point, and past that point, things start to go bad. Where things start to break down, you get stress-related diseases, including cardiovascular disease, possibly cancer. The relationship between cancer and stress is that the stress causes an extreme release of cortisol. Cortisol dampens the immune response. Cells such as killer T cells that normally keep tumors in check are depressed when there's high cortisol levels, so the cancer can kind of take hold, and you know the rest. But anyway, let's get right into it. Some of the herbs or nutritional supplements that are pretty good for dealing with stress. Some of these herbs I have discussed in previous videos, but I'm just mentioning them here again because they're pretty good for stress. So one of them is called rhodiola rosea. It's an herb that grows in the cold mountains of Russia and Asia. I've talked about it before. It's an adaptogenic herb. It's non-toxic. It stimulates the body's stress response to handle stress resistance. The adaptogenic properties of rhodiola are linked to two of the herb's most potent active ingredients, namely rosavin and salidroside. An 8-week study in 100 people with chronic fatigue symptoms such as poor sleep quality and impairments in short-term memory and concentration found that supplementing with 400 milligrams of rhodiola extract daily improved symptoms after just 1 week. The symptoms continued to decline throughout the study. In another study published in 2018 in the journal Neuropsychiatric Disease Treatment of 118 people with stress-related burnout, taking 400 milligrams of rhodiola extract daily for 12 weeks improved associated symptoms, including anxiety, exhaustion, and irritability. Getting adequate amounts of quality sleep is also important for reducing stress. Stress is strongly linked to insomnia, a sleep disorder characterized by difficulties falling asleep or staying asleep. One of the best supplements to treat insomnia is melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone produced in the pineal gland, which is right here, right behind the bridge of your nose. It's produced from the amino acid tryptophan. First, tryptophan is converted into serotonin, and then serotonin, through other enzymes, is eventually converted to melatonin. And the melatonin is gradually being produced during the day, and it's produced at night as it gets dark. There's certain signals that's sent out that the body senses that stimulates melatonin. Melatonin in turn stimulates the onset of sleep. Melatonin is a huge topic in medicine because it does a lot of other things. It seems to have some anti-aging effects and anti-cancer effects, and it's even involved in the what was I going to say? The recovery process after exercise. I'll be discussing some of that in my Applied Metabolics newsletter. But a review of 19 studies that included 1,683 people with primary sleep disorders. Melatonin decreased the time it took people to fall asleep, increased total sleep time, and improved overall sleep when compared to a placebo. A lot of people worry that if they take melatonin every day, that your body will kind of stop making its own melatonin, or if you get off the supplemental melatonin, your body will not produce melatonin. This is not true. Makes no difference. Even if you take supplemental forms of melatonin, your body will continue to produce it, and it's not going to be cut off. It's not like other, it's not like when you take anabolic steroids and your natural production of testosterone is cut off. It doesn't happen with melatonin supplements. However, most people take way too high a dosage. If you take too large a dosage of melatonin, it'll leave you groggy in the morning. It'll seem like you didn't have enough sleep. It'll have a paradoxical effect. And I've also seen some blogs where they talk about taking really large amounts of melatonin, like 25 milligrams or more, to stimulate growth hormone. This is insane. This makes no sense at all, because taking that much melatonin, you're going to want to lie down and sleep. The last thing you want to do is train when you take massive amounts of melatonin. And remember, your body produces melatonin in microgram amounts. So when you take 1 milligram of melatonin, you're taking a massive amount, just 1 milligram. Now, the melatonin supplements range in dosage from 300 milligrams to 10. My advice is to start with the smallest dose of melatonin, maybe 300 milligrams, and work up. I see, experiment with different dosages to see which one works best to help you fall asleep. I have found, in my experience, a dosage of 3 milligrams in time-release form is what works best for me. I use the time-release form because melatonin, when ingested orally, it breaks down kind of fast in the gastrointestinal tract. It's absorbed, but it's kind of broken down after about 2 or 3 hours. And you want it to last all night long. So if you take a time-release form, it's spread out over something like 6 to 7 hours, so it continues to help you sleep. 6 hours would be enough. So again, I use 3 milligrams of a time-release form of melatonin. I take it about an hour before I want to go to sleep, and it works very well. There's an amino acid that's really great for sleep, also called glycine. Glycine is the simplest amino of all the amino acids, and they've shown in some studies that if you take 3 grams, that's 3,000 milligrams of glycine, again about an hour before sleep, it will help induce sleep. It works very well. It has no side effects, and it also reduces the effects of stress in preventing you from falling asleep. In one study, 15 people who had complaints about the quality of their sleep took 3 grams of glycine before bed, and they experienced less fatigue and increased alertness the following day when compared to another group that took a placebo. Another great anti-stress herb, really good one for stress, is ashwagandha. I've talked about ashwagandha in previous videos. The botanical name is Withania somnifera. It's an adaptogenic herb. Again, it works against stress, and it's native to India. It's been used in what they call Ayurvedic medicine, which is the native or the traditional medicine of India for thousands of years. The name is derived from smell of a horse, because supposedly ashwagandha has a kind of a smell like a horse, I guess. I don't know how to describe it, but you're not eating it, you're swallowing it, so don't worry about it. And it's not, and by the way, it's not taken from horses, in case you're wondering. In one study on the stress-relieving effects of ashwagandha, researchers randomized 60 individuals with mild stress to receive either 240 milligrams of a standardized ashwagandha extract or a placebo daily for 2 months. Compared with the placebo, supplementing with ashwagandha was strongly associated with greater reductions in stress, anxiety, and depression. Ashwagandha was also linked to a 23% reduction in morning levels of cortisol, a stress hormone. By helping to cut down cortisol, ashwagandha will actually help you with your building muscle, because cortisol is a catabolic hormone. And also, as I pointed out in my Applied Metabolics newsletter, ashwagandha has an independent effect. It can increase testosterone levels an average of 14% with taking nothing else at all. So ashwagandha is great stuff, great anti-stress herb, especially good if you have like a lot of anxiety. Really great for them. Speaking of anxiety, if you really want something that's going to work really quick, let's say you have to give a speech, or you're doing something that's causing a lot of anxiety and fear, there's a amino acid found in tea called L-theanine. It's been studied for its ability to produce relaxation, reduce stress. It doesn't exert sedative effects. It increases something in the brain called alpha waves. So what happens is you get a relaxation effect, but not a knockout effect like you get with drugs, where you take a drug and it'll relax you, like Valium, but it'll also mess you up. This stuff does not do that. A review of 21 studies involving nearly 68,000 people found that drinking green tea is rich in theanine. It was associated with reduced anxiety and improvements in memory and attention. Another study showed that supplementing with 200 milligrams of L-theanine reduced measures of stress, such as heart rate in response to performing a mentally stressful task. Still another study of 34 people published in the journal Nutrients in 2016 found that drinking a beverage containing 200 milligrams of L-theanine and other nutrients lowered levels of the stress hormone cortisol in response to a stressful task that involved multitasking. And again, I've said this in previous videos. If you combine dose of caffeine of anywhere from 200 to 300 milligrams with 200 milligrams of theanine, you have a instantaneous smart nutrient combination. The caffeine will stimulate the brain, but the theanine will take the bite out of the caffeine. In other words, it'll reduce a lot of the, let's say, the shakiness and the anxiety produces effects of caffeine. They'll be modified by the theanine. So now you get all the great power of caffeine to stimulate your brain, wake you up, increase focus and concentration without any of the jitters or shakes. It's a great combination. Again, 200 milligrams of theanine and about 300 milligrams of caffeine should do it. The L-theanine is well tolerated and safe, and it's supplemented. Again, the dose ranges are anywhere from 200 to 600 milligrams. I always keep theanine around in case sometimes I get a little anxiety. It'll happen sometimes in the middle of the night. I've gotten panic attacks, very rare, but I do get them occasionally. When that happens, I get up and I take about 200 to 300 milligrams of theanine, along with about 200 milligrams of magnesium glycinate. And within about 20 minutes, I'm fine and I fall back asleep. It's great if any of you wake up and you're worried about something. That really works well. Other nutrients that are really good for modulating the effects of stress include magnesium. There's various forms of magnesium. One type of magnesium to keep away from is magnesium oxide. Most of it passes right through the body. Unfortunately, magnesium oxide is the main type of magnesium used in supplement form. Supplement companies like to use magnesium oxide because it's cheap as dirt, but it's also practically useless. The only people that are going to be able to absorb magnesium oxide are people that are deficient in magnesium. But for all others, it literally passes right through. It's garbage. I think you absorb about 1% of it. The best form of magnesium is magnesium glycinate and magnesium citrate. I lean towards the magnesium glycinate form because the magnesium citrate is a little bit too much of it causes diarrhea, very easily if you take too much of it. Glycinate doesn't have that problem. Another good form of magnesium, if you can get it, is magnesium taurate, which is basically magnesium combined with the amino acid taurine. That's great as a sleep combination because taurine interacts with GABA receptors in the brain. GABA is the primary inhibitory neurotransmitter of the brain, and the taurine works with the GABA receptors to help relax you and help you sleep. And of course, magnesium also does that. So when you take magnesium taurate, it has a great effect in also helping you to fall asleep and stay asleep. And it also has a great anti-stress effect. And it's also, by the way, magnesium taurate can get into the brain. The only other magnesium that I know of that can get into the brain fairly easily is called magnesium threonate, which is used often touted as a way to maintain brain health and prevent brain disease, stimulate memory and focus. It's kind of expensive though. Threonate, in case you're wondering, is a metabolite of vitamin C, and for some reason threonate can get into the brain really easy. Because to get into the brain, you have to get by something called the blood-brain barrier. It's a network of blood vessels that protects the brain by not allowing most things to get into the brain. Because if everything in the blood got into the brain, we'd all be dead pretty fast. So this blood-brain barrier is very useful. In fact, there's a theory that's I've seen in a couple of neurology journals lately, where they think one of the reasons people get brain diseases as they get older, such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, is related to a breakdown of the blood-brain barrier. but certain nutrients can get through the blood-brain barrier, and among these are magnesium threonate, which is it can actually provide a considerable amount of magnesium into the brain, which increases brain ATP and makes the brain work better. Calcium is also a nice relaxing supplement. If you don't eat dairy foods like cheese and milk, it's a good idea to take some supplemental calcium. Otherwise, you're not going to be getting it because it is found in vegetables. Unfortunately, vegetables, as I've said previously, contain elements that what they call anti-nutrients, such as phytic acid, oxalic acid. These are elements that lock onto minerals and kind of prevent them from being absorbed. So I don't consider the mineral content of vegetables a reliable source, especially for calcium. Contrary to what you'll read, a lot of vegans will tell you that you can get all the calcium you need from vegetables. I disagree. I think a lot of it will be passed right out of the body. Although the way it works with minerals is the body, for some amazing reason, the body is able to detect when you lowered certain minerals, and as a result, it upgrades the absorption. For example, let's say you lowered magnesium, and you start eating a food that's high in magnesium, or you take a magnesium supplement, the body will actually increase the absorption of the magnesium more than normal because it senses that you have a need for magnesium. It's a tremendous effect that God put into the body somehow. It's great. But calcium, as a man, if you're a man, you want to take about up to 1,200 milligrams of calcium a day, divided doses. If you want to use calcium to help you sleep, take about 500 milligrams about an hour before sleep. Never take more than 500 milligrams of calcium at a time, because if you take more than 500 milligrams, a lot of it will your body can't absorb it. It'll be passed out of the body. The most absorbable supplemental form of calcium is calcium citrate. All other forms of calcium have to be taken with a meal because other forms of calcium require acid to be absorbed, stomach acid, whereas calcium citrate does not. You could take calcium citrate at any time. It's very absorbable. It's also good to take vitamin D to help absorb the calcium if you're not already doing that. Another great anti-stress herb and another herb to help you sleep is called Melissa or lemon balm. Lemon balm I've been using for a while. It's a very relaxing, very calming mineral. You can take it during the day to help calm you if you're under stress. You can take it at night before you go to sleep, but it will aid the sleep process. Kava kava is another herb that's often recommended to combat stress, and it does do that. However, my problem, the active ingredients in kava kava are called cavalactones. My problem with kava kava is that some studies have shown a relation between kava kava and liver problems. I don't think if you take small doses of kava kava, you'll have a problem. But I don't use kava kava for that reason. I don't want to take any chances of putting any undue stress on my liver. Kava kava works by reducing the breakdown of GABA in the brain. As I noted earlier, GABA is your main inhibitory neurotransmitter that helps you relax. However, you can get the same effect of kava kava without any worrying about your liver by using another herb called gotu kola. Gotu kola also works by blunting the breakdown of GABA in the brain. Gotu kola is a good herb. I keep some around also. I use it mainly before bed to help me sleep. It works very well. If it calms you, it really helps you drift right into sleep. So those are some of the best natural remedies to combat stress. So I hope this helps. If you want more information on nutrition, ergogenic aids, anti-aging research, hormonal therapy, fat loss techniques that really work, supplements that work, supplements that don't work, ergogenic aids. Did I say that already? Did I say exercise science? Women's health and fitness, and much more. Subscribe today to my Applied Metabolics newsletter, www.appliedmetabolics.com. When you subscribe, I'll send you an invitation to join my private Applied Metabolics Facebook page. It's only for subscribers. Every day I put new information on nutrition, exercise science, general health on my Applied Metabolics private Facebook page. I have an email portal on my Applied Metabolics website where current subscribers only could submit short questions to me. and I will answer them. But only current subscribers, though. I don't answer unsolicited questions. Uh, and what else? What else? Oh, you can leave comments under this video. Possibly if you want to leave some suggestions for future videos. I can't guarantee I'll answer the questions that are left under the videos, though, because I always give first preference to my subscribers who support my work. So that's about it. If you want to have the best friend you'll ever have, you go to your local shelter, adopt a dog. They are the best. Take care.